Suzy, could you share with us what's that story that comes to mind?
Thanks very much. My example is it's probably about 20 years ago, 15 years ago in my career, and I was just mentioning it in the kind of discussion with the other speakers. So my job is to connect business with regulators and government, and to make sure that both sides understand each other. And at the time, I was working for a law firm and advocating for the biotechnology industry. And the biotech industry, they kind of represent the smaller pharmaceutical industry. So they were in kind of forefront of a lot of innovative treatments of various diseases. And I was involved lobbying for them. This was probably in the early 2000s, around reform of the, it's called the Human Fertilization and Embryology Act. But essentially it changed we were seeking to change the reasons under which you could experiment on human embryos, which is obviously an incredibly controversial, sensitive issue. But the reason the biotech industry was advocating for this change to the Act was to help develop treatments for therapeutic, for Parkinson's, for Alzheimer's, for leukemia, diabetes, a whole range of different diseases. And because it was such a highly ethical issue, usually at the House, it required a vote in both of the Houses of Parliament. And usually MPs are pretty much told how to vote. So if you kind of persuade government, you can be successful. But this was, because it was an ethical issue, was a free vote. So everyone in the House of Commons had a vote, everyone in the House of Lords had a vote. So we had to do a lobbying campaign across both Houses of Parliament to really try and educate and explain why this was going to make such a big difference, that it would justify what was, ultimately a really sensitive, understandably sensitive area. And we were successful in that. So there was a lot of it. So it does come back to resilience, because understandably there were other arguments put up as to why this was, a slippery slope, but this is a sort of a dangerous precedent. And we were able to persuade those, enough people in both those Houses of Parliament to be successful. But having those sort of discussions with people with completely different views and perspectives is obviously really challenging. But it still inspires me, and I'm still proud of the fact that I was involved in making that change, because that was sort of 10, 15 years ago now, and those treatments have started to emerge that make a difference to people's lives.
It's amazing to be able to look back and say I was part of something,
Yeah.
and then to see where it goes. Thank you for sharing that.